Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back again with another commentary video. I got this link sent to me from a subscriber of William Shatner. Relatively short interview, a snippet of it, and I'm just going to do my commentary on it and, just whatever comes to mind. But I think it's clear to a lot of us that, Christ's second coming is very imminent. And one verse, sticks out in my mind when I see anything related to space exploration is Obadiah 1:4. I want people to understand this numerology is not a coincidence. 1:4 is short for 14, which is short for 144. And so this is Bible prophecy that there will be this, quote, space exploration in the last days. And then that will be one of the many reasons that God will be irritated to return, and then to destroy. Because first off, they're going into God's, quote unquote, territory, uninvited, so to speak. And it's a waste of money. Okay, and we know that, so that's pretty obvious. But Obadiah 1:4, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and oftentimes an eagle is used to represent the power structure in the last days, called Babylon, Mystery Babylon, or America. and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. And so this is a coded reference to Christ's second coming. And it's in verse 14. Which is symbolic of Christ's elect, which is the whole purpose of Christ's second coming, to gather his elect. 1 Thessalonians 5:9, adding to 14 is not a coincidence, okay? For thou hast not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Jesus Christ. So, these numbers are all, it's perfect. The Bible is constructed flawlessly and purposefully. For God hath not appointed us to wrath. Who's us? It's God's elect, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Jesus Christ. So, keep that in mind, with what's going on. And then this video is loaded with symbolism. And so I want people to understand there's symbolism everywhere. And so I want people to even look at my shirt. Okay, I've known this for a while, but I just thought I would bring it out because it's kind of related to all this. So if you look at this logo, right, I just bought these 3 shirts off Amazon, and then I looked at the company name because, I didn't know. I just bought ones that are like breathable, like these ones. But so if you look up the company name of this, company who makes these shirts, it's called Nelus, Neleus. Okay, and I had to look up that. I don't know what language that is. And so it's Greek. And then if you look up what that means, it's it was the son of Poseidon. Okay. And then if you look up Poseidon, it's in ancient Greek religion, it's the god of the sea and of the water. Okay. So if you look at even this logo, right, it looks like there's a dome, and then it looks like there's a jutting upwards of land. Okay. And then there's a little sliver in it, okay, a little gap, and these are the portals of heaven. If you read Enoch, it'll make even more sense that God has access to the earth with the waters above, the way that he flooded the earth with Noah's Ark, the account of that. And so that's what that would represent, okay. And then obviously this shirt's blue, but not all of them are, but for the water, the sea. And so there's symbolism everywhere. Okay, and like these companies don't necessarily know what they're doing, but God is the originator of all this. Okay, the deceived and the deceiver are his. So God is putting his clues everywhere, even in t-shirts. Okay, everywhere. So, and God's left-hand side is not, yeah, you know what, I'm going to make this logo and then show, the firmament and then the earth and all that. But God is doing it. He's smart enough to put, 33 and all the license plates of government vehicles. He's smart enough to do that. Okay. Not the government. Our government's retarded. And so, God's behind this. So it's amazing, to me, just to know that that's the case. And so just know that this, 6-minute back and forth is also the same thing. It's loaded with symbolism of God's left-hand side, but they're clues, that he leaves. So I'll play it and then just do my commentary.
We're back 7:42 with our series, The New Space Race, and this morning, the Star Trek legend who can now truly say he has boldly gone where so few have gone before.
Yeah, at the age of 90, Bill Shatner made history yesterday when he...
First off, Bill Shatner, BS. Okay, we know what BS stands for. Bennett Stevens is a good servant, and his handle is BS22. So that group are the 22 Club, and then there's 22 as well in Bill Shatner's birthday, and I'll bring that out. So it's BS. Okay, it's not William Shatner, which is obviously his name, but BS. And then if you look at when BS was born, March 22nd, 322. We know what that number represents, skull and bones. It's also a reference to the book of Genesis, good and evil. But 3 times 22 is 66. And he's a Canadian actor. Okay, and then he's part of the Order of Canada, which is OC, which O is 6 in Pythagorean numerology, and C is 3, the third letter in the alphabet. And then these Satanists work in reverse. And so 63 and 36 are the same, if you read it the other way. So Order of Canada is 63 or 36, 666. So he's obviously an actor. And I mean, he reaffirms it in this back and forth. And so he's just an actor going to a simulator and then recording it. It's like literally us going to like the local skydiving simulator and be like, yeah, I went skydiving today. You know, filmed us driving our car to the simulator, and then, you know, showed some things, and then, you know, put in some CGI in the background and be like, yeah, you know, I went skydiving today, and then just talked about it like you actually went skydiving, but you're just in a simulator.
And 3 others shot off into space on that Blue Origin rocket, an event watched.
So the title of this is, and I'll put the link below, William Shatner reacts to seeing Earth from space. It's so fragile. What the hell does that mean? Like, no, a person that would ever see something like that would need some time alone, you know, honestly, because they would be like amazed. They would be speechless. You know, it's like, imagine people who go and visit incredible monuments on Earth. It's literally breathtaking, you know. And so what if you saw the whole Earth? Okay, you're looking down from God's vantage point. Are you kidding me? And so the fact that he's laughing and joking around with these two news anchors is further evidence of how ridiculous this. And then of course this Blue Origin, which is BO, which is 26, B is 2, and O is 6, 6. It's shaped like a penis. Okay, and so these people are sick. Okay, and so it's literally like that jutting up into sky, which is essentially giving God the middle finger, so to speak. So that's what they're all about, you know. And so this is God's left-hand side.
All around the world.
And fresh from that voyage into the final frontier, Mr. Shatner is with us live to tell us all about it. Good morning.
You did it.
I hope we have a time enough to get through all the...
No eye contact at the beginning of the interview. He's literally writing something down. He's looking down. This is just the psychology of liars. If you come back from some amazing trip, you will literally be either completely speechless or you won't be able to stop talking. Okay, and of course you're going to make eye contact.
Impressions. The first thing I want to say is the irony. I have an album out there called Bill right now. It's getting great reviews. There is a song.
First off, their studio, again, watch this video. It's like blue water on the ground, and then it looks like there's a dome in their studio. So, and then Shatner is like outside, kind of like God talking down to them. So God's left-hand side are always trying to simulate what God does on his right-hand side. Okay, so Shatner represents God, BS. And then he's above this dome talking down to these two people on Earth, these Earthlings. And so even in their interview, they're setting up kind of like the Truman Show.
Song that we wrote called So Far From the Moon, in which at that time, that the song relates to, 55 years ago, I lay in a pasture for...
55 is a spiritual number, okay? 22 represents the physical earth in the Bible, and then 33 represents the leadership on the earth, rulership, whether it be evil or righteous. Ultimately, God is ruling both. And then if you add that together, you have 55. So 55 is a number for people who understand both of those things. So it's a very spiritual number.
Number of reasons. Looking up at the sky, seeing the astronauts walk on the moon, and I was so far from the moon. And 55...
The moon is a light, okay? And then Enoch is another great book that describes the sun and the moon and their intensity very, very well, and how they're designed, you know, by God, of course, and then like their dimensions and then their intensity and their independent light sources, okay? So no one walked on the moon.
5 years later, here I am, a little closer to the moon than you guys, but the irony of it strikes me.
What, you know what? I watched you right after the moment you walked out of that capsule, and honestly, I thought you seemed starstruck. You just seemed so totally overwhelmed by the experience.
Prior to going up there, lying in that chair,
Doesn't sound starstruck to me. Okay, he's like, yeah, whatever. He's showing them a straight face, like they're just feeding him an answer.
or trying to think of something clever to say when I came out, when if everything worked, and I see the little.
If everything worked, are you kidding me? You're gonna go into like some capsule. You don't even know what's gonna happen to you. No one's that stupid. Okay, that's absolutely ridiculous. And so that's again the whole point that this thing's complete nonsense. It's like you would not go into like even like a really, really fast car on Earth and not be afraid, and like, well, okay, what's the risk here? What if this thing spins over and all the crashes that we see on TV? We would be horrified. Okay. And no different than if you went into space. Okay, like give me a break.
Blue orb, and I was trying to think of something clever to say, and then we get up, and when I was there,
if you're out in quote unquote space, you're not thinking of anything clever to say. Like you only would think something like that if you know that you're going to be interviewed after you tell a bunch of lies.
Everything I thought might be clever to say went out the window because the experience going at 2,500 miles an hour, breaking through this little.
So they have video of like a bunch of blue people floating around in this thing. So not only are you out in space, but you're just literally allowed to float around inside this quote unquote capsule, which again looks like, the head of a penis. And so are you kidding me? Like we're expected to believe this is ridiculous.
Thin blue skin that surrounds Earth, that provides us with life. We broke through that with a count of 1 or 2 at 2,500 miles an hour, and the skin is 50.
So these people are all like perverts. Like their mindset, all they can think about is like sex, God's left-hand side. And so that's why he's talking about breaking through the skin and all this kind of stuff. Like these people are all like literal, perverts and monsters. And so they'll design the ship that way. And so that's all they're able to think about, and then that's what they're doing on the quote highest level.
Miles thick, broke through, and all of a sudden the blue is down below and the blackness of space. Now space is interesting, the universe that lies there, but at that moment, in that big window, it was only black and ominous, and that was death, and this was life.
So that's the as above, so below. He's like, that's death and that's life. When it's opposite, that's life is above with God, and then that's death below. And so these people, God's left-hand side, work on opposites.
And everything else just stood still for a moment. I was overwhelmed with the experience, with the sensation of looking at death and looking at life, and this, what's become.
Why would the sky be viewed as death? Okay, it's like that doesn't make any sense just in general. But again, Christ says, as your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And so earth has to be hell and death and evil, which it obviously is. And then above has to be life, where God resides.
A cliche of how we need to take care of the planet, but it's so fragile. People say, oh, it's fragile. No.
He's flashing the 666. Okay, and so it's fragile because of the 666, God's left-hand side, which destroyed the earth, and God's going to destroy them that destroy the earth. So, it's timed perfectly at 2:40.
Oh, there's this little tiny blue skin that is 50 miles wide, and we pollute it, and it's our means of.
So just the fact that he's talking about it being a skin is coded language for the fact that it's a surface. Okay. We don't talk about skin or a tabletop or anything like that as having any curve. So he's telling us that, in his coded language that this blue skin is the flat earth.
Of living. And I was struck so profoundly by it.
That was such a beautiful, beautiful sentiment, and it brought you to tears. So, you're 90 years young. What's
I keep hearing that. And another factor of this whole thing is I keep saying, yeah, no, I'm not 90.
God's left-hand side are a bunch of clowns. Okay, they're all just terrible actors, and then you have to be witty and like all this kind of stuff. So. We're not interested in that anymore. Okay, like joking around and this and that. They're stupid jokes. And so we just want them destroyed, and then we can have an actual functioning economy, kingdom, where we can work towards something productive and not just to blaspheme God every single day.
Idea, ride horses over that. the whole physical experience of mounting that gantry, of getting into that chair, of being weightless, of having 5Gs, and suddenly, as I'm coming down, I'm thinking, you know something? I'm 90 years old.
You came back down to earth.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, how did it feel physically up there?
That's a good point. Anybody who actually goes out to space would never want to come back. It's like, that's why God has to put actors up there, because they can't worship God. God's programmed them to not worship the Most High in spirit and in truth, because any normal person who's experienced all these extreme vantage points, they would worship the Creator, and then they would want to be with the Creator. And so these people are all just laughing and goofing around. They don't care.
For you.
Well, we had a simulator. They simulate what they say you're going to feel, and it doesn't come anywhere near. So
how can a simulator not come anywhere near like what it actually is? So he's telling us again what's true is that he was in a simulator, and then they recorded all this, and then it doesn't come close to what's actually real. So it's like truth in plain sight.
Here you're going to be in weightlessness, and you're going to grab a hold of something, don't push too hard.
Now they're showing this thing leave Earth, and it's obviously CGI, okay? Like, this is absolutely ridiculous, like this thin capsule. Again, this tiny little, you know what it is. And so I have a building across my street here in Houston, and they obviously design it in these sexual ways with these innuendos. And so, I mean, the building across the street from me literally looks, like a massive penis, okay? And that's what God's left-hand side are all about. They're all just perverts.
Hard with your hands, just use your fingertips because you'll bounce off the ceiling or what. You can talk about weightlessness all you want, but the feeling of weightlessness, the actual feeling of weightlessness is indescribable. First of all, your guts, your body doesn't have any pressure, so suddenly your body's expanding. Secondly,
your body's expanding. What the hell is this person talking about, dude? This is absolutely ridiculous. We need this whole thing to be wrapped up because these people are mentally retarded.
Floating, and I don't want to turn somersaults. I don't want to throw skittles. I want to look out the window. I mean, it was incredible. You can describe 5Gs, but at 2Gs, I was trying to raise my hand and couldn't raise my hand.
Wow.
And that's not just being 90. At 5Gs, everything is just being pressed in, and you think, how long can I take this? And it's over in an instant as you hit the air. That air that I'm talking about, the 50 miles of air, comes like a flood as the spaceship hits the atmosphere, and suddenly you're in 5G. And then you know that the parachutes should deploy. And
so all of a sudden there's atmosphere, and then the atmosphere just disappears randomly. Are you kidding me? This is absolutely ridiculous.
Will they? Bang! They deployed.
And then they show this little capsule, okay, return on 3 freaking parachutes. Are you kidding me? It's like literally like somebody went skydiving, and then they're returning. And then, that's the technology that they use. Oh, it's just 3, like parachutes, ropes hanging from this thing. This is absolutely insane.
Hey, I'm going to be all right unless, and then they've got boosters on the bottom of that thing so you don't hit it too hard. And if they don't go off, something terrible will happen. And they do go off, and that's startling. The whole thing was indescribable. So all this rehearsal we did, training they call it, I call it rehearsal.
So that's more truth. He's like laughing. He's like training, but it's like a rehearsal. And so it's just like, again, it's a production. Okay, it's theater.
You're in and out of those chairs using muscles, and in this case, 90-year-old muscles, that are unaccustomed. I am stiff and sore and I ache.
Well, what a thrilling 10 minutes. It had everything. We're so happy that you're here.
Back.
And
It had
feels
everything.
good.
He didn't go anywhere.
And the realization
Happy you're back from what? Okay, glad you came back from the simulator. Okay, glad you made it back safe.
once again, the fragility of this planet, the coming catastrophic event, and we all have to clean this act up now.
So that's again why my subscriber sent this to me, and that's what's happening. This coming catastrophic event is Christ's second coming, who's going to destroy them that destroy the earth. And destroying the earth is not simply just the physical earth, but with their ideologies, and then their lies. And so that's where it starts, is with a lie. And then No, God doesn't mind if you, drill holes in it or, do whatever, have a factory that, blows chemicals into the air. It's no big deal. We'll just scrub them. All this destruction starts with a lie, and then one of the main lies is that the earth is a ball flying, spinning and flying through space or whatever. And so that's what he's talking about, letting us know. And that's why I was sent this link, because that's clearly coming. If God exists, the God of the Bible, the God of the Israelites, because he says he's behind this production. He gets credit for this, not William Shatner or, today, whoever this whatever this news station is. It's not them. It's God that's doing this. Okay. Only God can make an actor like this, to lie about something and then just laugh and then, just like it's nothing. And so the Bible says that the wicked are estranged from the womb. And so who made them then? Did the parents lay down and say, let me make a liar today? Let me make a William Shatner kind of liar. No, God did. Psalms 58:3, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they are born, speaking lies. And so the parents didn't have enough time to teach them lies. And so who's teaching them the lies then? God is. Okay. Because he fastens people in the womb. So we know who to give credit to this for. It's God. Okay. Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. So this is talking about God's right-hand side. And so, God ordaining, his prophets. And so that also works on his left-hand side. He's not like, oh, let me outsource the left-hand side to this other person and all that. No, God's doing the same. Okay. And so everything that's happening, every person that's on this earth is a character in God's movie. Okay. And some are just goofballs like BS, William Shatner. And then there's a small group that are not full of BS. Okay. And so that's God's elect. And so because the deceived and the deceiver are his, according to Job 12:16, there's a group who are not deceived. And so we're not deceived by this, because this is just terrible acting. And so, I just thought I would go through this. I think, other truth channels are covering this. But, I've noticed Call for an Uprising's talking about, this alien invasion and demons, and that Russian vids will probably start pushing that if he's not already. But he's kind of playing both sides, Russian vids. So he's like open to the Bible, I think, a bit more. But they're all ultimately actors. And like they're talking about now how you need a bigger deception. And that makes sense. Even the flat earthers, I think, would agree that if there's this much evil and deception and uncertainty and distrust of the government, then they need more. And who's they? It's God. Okay. And so, I believe strongly that what William Shatner is saying here, this upcoming catastrophic event, is Christ returning. And then when he returns, he's bringing two witnesses who are going to be administering plagues. And they're going to be tormenting the entire earth at the same time. If you read Revelation 11 and Revelation 16, and I believe those days are here. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.